by Saucy, not Bossy.
Welcome in, everybody, to Saucy Not Bossy. I got the name Saucy Not Bossy, if you don't know, because my mom always used to say, Shauna, you're not bossy. You're a leader. And, that's what I hope to do with this podcast is get women, men, people of all different ages, genders, identities to come on and speak their truth as being a leader in a positive way in their community. I lost my mom February this year, 2026, after a long battle with Alzheimer's. And it's interesting to be asked the question, what's one of my first memories of my mom? With this disease, it's a really, really complicated one. And it was a long disease for my mom. And you start to forget the old version of who people were, right? So I started just being really present with who my mom was for the last few years. But I can think of one of my first memories is just always coming home from school and she could be on the phone with a world leader, or she could be on the phone with another friend that needed advice from her because she had great advice, or or someone that she was doing business with, and she would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hold for a second? Or can you please? Can I call you right back?" So she would run to us like we were gone for 10 weeks. And I was like, Mom, we were only gone for the hours of school time. And she'd be like, but I miss you and I love you. And I try to do that with my kids because it's just, that's the best way to build self esteem, at least for me.
You mentioned world leaders there. That sounds like such an interesting path she travelled.
Oh yes, my mom would travel a lot with Lou, and she would be with Imelda Marcos from the Philippines, and she would just travel all over. So many leaders, so many people she was around. She was really an elegant, beautiful woman.
Long before the glamorous life of Hollywood and travelling the world, can you go back and tell us where Carla was from and what her upbringing was like?
So my mom was born in Kentucky, Carla Green, and from the Gwynn family. She was born in Kentucky, in Louisville, Bowling Green, actually. And it was too cold there for her lungs, probably because her mother was a smoker. But she didn't have great lungs. So the doctors said she can't survive winter, so you have to move her. And so her aunts were already in California, Orange County. So she moved to Orange County. She never really knew exactly who her dad was. Her mom, my grandmother, had three different kids by three different men. And so my mom was never in a stable environment that was healthy and happy for her. She would tell me she had one pair of shoes, a few pair of clothes. Kids would make fun of her. She was really heavy because she would eat all the time because she was sad. There's a lot of abuse with alcohol in the house. And man, she was just a survivor from the very beginning.
It sounds like Carla elevated herself out of circumstances that weren't ideal. What was that journey like for her, to your knowledge?
My mom left the house at 16. She met a man uh, in LA at the clubs and at Cantor's after hanging out. She was a teenager. And he was from Scotland. His name was Ronnie, and he needed to get his passport. Long story. She went to England, then to Scotland, and she was starving. She was hungry. She never had a dime. She worked really hard. She worked so hard that she missed events like Woodstock. She missed events like Elvis's last concert because people invited her, but she needed to make her own way, and no one was supporting her. So when she was 16, she got deported from England because she was sleeping on benches, she was starving, and she stole a chicken pot pie.
It was a pork pie.
Well, she stole a pork pie and got deported, got a free flight back to the States. And so we went and visited about 10 years, 15, 10 years, 11 years ago. And I got to see the park bench she slept on and, you know, just how far she's come from where she started.
Where did the journey from there to becoming a mum to you and your brothers begin?
Well, she never knew if she wanted kids or not because of the abuse in her household, and she wasn't sure if she was going to be a good mom. But she went into a lot of therapy. It's interesting because my mom made the joke of she tried to kill herself when she was about 17. She went to the Chateau Marmont. And I guess at the Chateau Marmont, they let anybody in, but you have to pay beforehand. That's why they got famous. Like they didn't care if you were gay back in, I think it was like the 40s, 50s. They didn't care what you did as long as you paid up front. But my mom couldn't afford to pay up front. She thought she would just pay after, or she would kill herself and she wouldn't have to pay. So she said she couldn't afford to kill herself at Chateau Marmont, but she knew she had a problem. And she said she didn't cry after being 5 years old with her mom. The last beating her mom gave her, she wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of crying. So she was very tough and hard during her modeling days. And she was an actress as well. And she studied in New York with Stella Adler. She was really a pioneer of her time. But when she got back to LA, she just knew she couldn't do it anymore. And she tried to join a group called Primal Scream Therapy because she knew she needed help. And when she joined it, she was there for a long time, fell in love with the therapist there, the love of her life that she would tell me, Werner. And he was the therapist there, but it became a cult. And she begged him to leave, and he said he couldn't leave. So they broke up, and she lost her heart. And then she went into training to become a manager at restaurants because um, she she also was close with Richard Simmons, and she manages his restaurant back in the 70s. And then she started working for TGI Fridays, and she was the only female manager there at the time. She worked her way up. She really did, with her heart being broken, and then that's when she met my father and started building his career because she said she had more money than he did at the time because he was going through divorce. His wife took him for everything. 9 months they were married, and so she helped build his career, and he wouldn't have been anywhere without the 40 plus years of her managing, standing up for him, defending him, and being the bad guy with the contracts and making him just look like the good guy and showing up for appearances.
So they met, got married, and built a family while she managed his career, all while being a very present mum. Can you elaborate more on the role she played in your life as a parent?
I don't think I don't know where I'd be without my mom. Um, my dad was always on steroids growing up. My brothers have their stories as well, but it was very chaotic household. A lot of fighting, a lot of my mom defending herself. She was strong. But my father was all about himself and his career, and we were just I just like to say my dad likes to take me to court, but he's never taken me to lunch. I don't remember ever a time my dad wanting to do something for me because it was fun for me. He was bodybuilding as I was growing up, and you know, I look back and I think I wrote a book, The Reset Plan, and I look back and I think, why was I that fat kid hiding all my food under the bed? Being so lonely up in that room by myself because Carla had two other kids and my brothers, and she's always being interrupted by Lou or this work thing, here, do this now. And so it really disrupted her being a mom, but she really did the best she could considering how much was on her plate.
That sounds like a lot of heavy lifting your mum carried as a parent, rather than the two of them carrying it together as a team. Can you recall a particular occasion or a memory that stands out where she did this?
I'm gonna write more about this, but there just an incident. She was always stepping up. I don't. Um, I'd come home from school and I'd be so excited to see, and Lou would come in and he'd say, "Where's your mother?" "Oh, hi." No tenderness ever from him. Um, but I just remember being on red carpets, one especially, and I write about it a little bit on the reset plan, but it was very heavy. And the boys were not, they were very cute. And we were all on a red carpet and at the Emmys. And I'll never forget that this publicist, um, just awful publicist, she was just like, "Can we get the fat girl out of the picture and just keep the boys? They're cute. They're cute." And my mom was like, and my dad just like looked the other way. And he likes to say he doesn't hear things. He never could hear. Yes, he could. He was hard of hearing, but he had great selective hearing. Um, but my mom was like, "Absolutely not. This is my daughter. She is beautiful. She always told me I was beautiful. She always had my
Right.
back." And she just made me feel always beautiful, even though I make the joke that, I've never seen my mom in a t-shirt. She always would, get her hair done right now. She'd be telling me, "Can we put on a little bit more lipstick?" but but she'd always be the one that would stand up for me. And she was like, "Absolutely not. We don't take photos unless my daughter is in this photo right now." So she just would say, "Well, honey, it's a phase that you're in. I was chubby too. You're chubby. You'll be fine." Instead of shaming me like a lot of mothers I hear.
She sounds like she was a great champion for her children. What kind of impact did that have on you growing up?
Well, my mom always would teach me to stand up for myself. Um, and it's been hard, since her diagnosis. That's what I missed the most, was just talking to her, getting advice from her. She gave great advice. And, just fuck them. If they don't like you, if they are being mean to you, if they're against you, then they're not your friend. And you need to have people in your life that really love you and care about you, and love yourself, number one, because you sleep with yourself and you wake up with yourself at the end of the day. And I just love that my mom was always so strong and she never let any clouds ruin her day. Any clouds, like people would, I don't know, people would just say she was fierce and mighty, and she really was, and she didn't give a shit who liked her, who didn't, except for the people that she loved, like us kids. And she was the first one to apologize if, and she taught me that. Really say sorries and mean it if you really mean it, and keep people close to you that you really love and have open communication. So I'm really blessed. We weren't perfect. We were not perfect. We went to a lot of therapy together. We worked a lot of things out, but we were always willing to do that with one another. So she crawled so I could run.
Is there a particular incident or set of events where you consciously recognized a skill or a strength in Carla and then implemented it into your own life path?
Oh, when my mother got sick and Lou decided to run off with another woman, um, and just would go on appearances and just be lying. And I had just had our kids and I was inundated in being a mom. I knew when her brain started just changing, I knew that I had to be the leader now, and I had to step up, and I had to be an advocate for her the way she was with me. And I refused to let anybody treat her badly, whether it was caretakers, whether it was the way Lou was with her, dismissing her, leaving for trips, leaving her alone, knowing she had this disease, knowing the neurologist told them before even the kids, us, that she had the disease. So I was left out in the dark, but man, the minute I found out everything was going down, my brother, my husband, you, me, we all advocated together, and I just took charge and started being Carla's daughter and fighting for her the way that she would have fought for herself. And I really hope that I've made her proud for that, because if not, she would be thrown in a home a long time ago. She used to say, the minute I die, Lou will give all of my hard earned money to some woman. And she used to call him Billy Zane from the Titanic, where she said he would just jump off the boat first. And I didn't realize it was going to be as bad as it was with him. Um, but I should have known, and she should have known. And that's why I want to advocate for women and people out there, is if you have an idea that your partner's not going to be there the way you need them to be there for you, start making plans early. And that's what I hope to help people with moving forward with the Alzheimer's Foundation, with Carla's Turn. That's what we're working on. Is we're working on tribute. We're working on having a tribute to my mom's life through Alzheimer's, raising money, and me counseling and helping people with this disease, because it's all different. But you have to set yourself up fast if you think that this partner, or you don't have people in your life that can give to you the way that you'd like your final days to come to.
You've mentioned some of the difficulties you had to face for all of this. Was there anything additional that made caring for and ultimately saying goodbye to your mum even more difficult?
I'll talk more about it another time and get in depth, but you know, my parents were married for 43 years, and everybody has a right to do what they want. So if Lou wanted to have his girlfriend and wanted to go travel and just ditch Carla, my mama, do it the right way, but he didn't. And so there were mediations that were botched by him. There were lawsuit. There was just She pulled a domestic violence order on him because there's video of him locking her up in a room and not knowing what to do. And I have it, and just being really cruel to her. He was hard of hearing, and that's all she did was stand up against people and fight. Uh, to have people really respect him, even though he was hard of hearing, and not call him names. But when she got this disease, it was constantly like, she's crazy behind her back, and just full blown disrespect. All of that made it harder. It also made it harder that I took my mom in and I was helping my mom, and which was a privilege and a joy. And yet I was being sued because I worked for Lou's Facebook and grew it and built it for 12 years. So just being sued, and just, you know, giving my mom a harder time to sign paperwork and figure things out, when her brain should have just been very calm and happy. Even if she wasn't going to have a husband that would stick around, she should have had a nice goodbye. She never got that.
Rather than letting this cruel experience only take from you, what are you alchemizing from it and carrying forward for your own growth and sense of purpose?
When I was a little girl, I used to think, how do I get rid of this man? And that was my father. There was always chaos and drama and combativeness, and just, so I think that when all of this started, and he was being combative, and all of the lawyers came in, and all of this, I chose not to be. I chose to focus on my children. I chose our children. I chose to focus on being present for my mom, and not being reactive, and really coming with indifference with this, because the opposite of love is hate. And I don't hate this man. I just want this man to go away. I was very clear with that in the second, third mediation we had that he botched. But what I learned was, I could have let him eat all the joy of the last years that I had with my mom. And my kids, there's only a short time frame for our kids. So what I learned was, it's a balance. He has to live with himself at the end of the day. I get to sleep well at night. And our kids got to see what really taking care of family is like, and the balance, and what you do for family. You show up. You advocate. You be kind. And it was a joy. Sometimes it wasn't because this disease sucks. And there's funny stories and you have to laugh through the Alzheimer's, but it was honestly easier to not have him around making it all about himself. I got to make it all about Carla, and that's why we're starting Carla's turn because she always was taking care of us kids, always was the woman behind Lou, never gave up her career in acting for us. So now it's her turn to shine.
What Carla taught you while raising you shaped so much of who you became. But what do you feel you learned the most from her during the process of losing her?
And the last thing that I'll say is, there's so much more to tell, but the last thing that I'll say with this is my mom always said, you can't take it with you when you go, and no matter how much money you have or things that you have, you know, it doesn't matter. It only matters who's next to you when you pass and who's holding your hand because of what you gave to them and what relationship you created together. And I had my brothers, my husband, my cousins, our kids holding our hand, and even a friend, two friends, one new, one old, really being here. We had a beautiful send off. And there's not any amount of money in the world that could buy that true, valuable, heartfelt, guttural, kind, sweet goodbye.
What are your plans now in terms of honouring your mum's memory? How do you plan to carry your legacy forward?
I just really hope to be part of uh, any foundation that supports Alzheimer's because I always say I feel like I got jumped into a small gang, that I didn't want to be part of. And Alzheimer's is kind of like death by paper cut sometimes. It's a slow one. And so people usually don't really know how to handle people with Alzheimer's, or if you haven't really been exposed to Alzheimer's, you don't really understand. So I want to help families, I want to help people, just that get the diagnosis, how to hold their hand and step by step along the way, be there for them because there were so many things where I was just like, what would be the next step? Because, you're pretty much taking over someone's independence because they can't be independent any longer. And that was all Carla was, the go, go, go. Her Mercedes, she loved driving, she loved being out there, but it gets to a point where when is that going to be dangerous on the road for somebody? So there's just so many steps that you just get overwhelmed with, and I want to get her name out there. And it's Carla's turn. That's what we're going to be working on, is advocating for Carla and her campaign, Carla's Turn, and making her the icon that she is and was.
Can you share more about you, who you are outside of all of this, and what goals or purpose you are working toward in your own life?
I'm Shauna. I'm a Gemini. I should walk more on the beach since we live near a beautiful ocean, Pacific. I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I was a caretaker for many, many years, and now, I hope to get my voice out more with my podcast, Saucy, not Bossy. You can find it on Apple and Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, YouTube. But I have really interesting guests, and it's going to get deeper and better as the seasons come along. And yeah, and I'm a natural hormone hustler. I love dealing with natural hormones, leveling people out, help people with diet and lifestyle. So I'm all around mental health, physical health, and trying to get rid of type 3 diabetes, which is Alzheimer's now in this world, by eating better and taking care of yourself. But, when you're a good person, it shines.
carlasturn.com